What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Cool Colas here, and you are now tuning into a new video on my channel. For today's topic, we're going to be talking about how Dr. King's family blasted Sexyredd on social media for disrespecting him. So let's get into it. There's this trend on social media that has been going on since the 2010s, if I'm not mistaken, where people like to post images of Dr. Martin Luther King, but they disrespect him by taking his image and then turning it into something else. So for example, there's images where you have Dr. King and he's smiling and he has gold teeth, or you may have a thing where Dr. King has a do-rag on or something like that. And this is something, like I said, that has been going on for quite a while. But what we really need to dive deep into is why this happens and why this ties into what happened with Sexyredd and Dr. King's family blasting her on social media. I'll be totally upfront with you. When I first saw this image back when I was in college, because around that time, a lot of us would go to different parties and stuff like that, I did laugh. It was just so shocking to me. And part of it was my ignorance and part of it was me being off code at that time. You know, a lot of us, when we grow up, we don't have respect to understand and realize the impact that some of our heroes have actually created for us. Part of that is because we're not fully versed on what that is. You know, yes, with Dr. King, they taught it in all different types of schools, but most of the time it was tied to his "I Have a Dream" speech. But we really didn't learn too much about what he did specifically for Black people or how that tied into Black people specifically. We knew that it was Black adjacent because they were included, but civil rights was something that we always knew was supposed to be a thing that was for all people. And then later, that's when I learned that Dr. King had done so many things for Black people. He advocated for reparations, and ultimately civil rights itself was set up to serve Black people exclusively at the very get-go. But that later changed. I think the first flyer that I ever saw, it said something like this is the Malu celebration. I was like, Malu? Who the fuck is Malu? But then what they did was they took Martin Luther King and they had a do-rag on him and they had him as the headliner for this flyer. And I think a lot of people do this too, outside of ignorance and outside of being off code, to try to create some level of advertisement. They want to be able to garner attention. They want something that's so shocking that people are going to gravitate to it and people are going to attend it. So a lot of times people will put it on these flyers because they knew that it was going to get somebody's attention and somebody's going to be like, this shit going to be wild. Like they knew that they were going to get that type of reaction. One thing that I noticed over time was that a lot of these similar images started getting shared pretty frequently on social media, especially around this time. And this was beyond the 2010s, all the way up until now, as a matter of fact. And what I noticed about that was a lot of the people who were sharing these images were people who were artists, and they typically were artists who weren't of our culture. A lot of these music artists who do stuff like that, again, are trying to create some level of sensationalism, some level of shock value, some level of garnering people's attention. So I know that's the reason why they did that. And in some cases, you have people who are just young and they don't really either know any better, or what they do is they think that because it's been something that has been shared quite often, that it's okay for them to do it as well too, which brings me to Sexyredd. As I stated earlier, Sexyredd was blasted for the picture that she posted of herself and Dr. King. And she actually was blasted by Bernice King, who was the daughter of Dr. Martin Luther King. And this is what she said, and I quote, "This is intentionally distasteful, dishonoring, deplorable, and disrespectful to my family and my father, who is not here to respond himself because he was assassinated for working for your civil and human rights and to end war and poverty. Please delete." This was a very classy response to something like this, and I'm glad that somebody decided to call this out. Now, it's interesting, I will say, that Sexyredd got called out about this because Sexyredd herself is FBA. But I noticed that a lot of the individuals who are not of our culture tend to not really get called out about this. This is not any shot towards Bernice King whatsoever. What I'm saying is that this is something that should have been just checked in general by us a long time ago. But here we are waiting for Dr. King's daughter to respond to sexyredd, doing the same thing people have done time and time and time again, even when they are not of our culture. Sexyredd's response to Bernice King was this, and I quote, "You ain't wrong. Never meant to disrespect your family. My apologies. Just reposted something I saw that I thought was innocent." So let's talk about this for a second. First of all, I will say, and I will admit that it was mature for her to actually apologize and take accountability. There are many times where artists will probably not take accountability for their actions, especially when it comes to the disrespect of somebody who is black, especially a black man. Now, I do want to point out something in her apology that didn't really sit right with me. One of the things that she said at the very end, as I said before, was that she just reposted something that she saw that she thought was innocent. The reason why this is problematic is because it shows you that this trend has been going on for so long that people have normalized it on social media to make it seem like it's something that's not a big deal. And even if we're talking about this thing being something that's humorous, it's been shared so much, it's not even funny. It probably never really was funny. It never really was funny, if we're being honest. You know, it's not something that we should have ever laughed at whatsoever. But at the same time, I'm saying this to say that it's not that it was innocent. It was just that it was normalized. So that's probably a better way to have said what she said, because the reality is that nothing about that was innocent. And I think to a certain extent, Sexyredd knew that there could potentially be some blowback. She just probably didn't expect that she would get it from somebody like Bernice King. So I think that there's a level of that to it. Again, I'm not in her head. I'm just telling you kind of my thoughts, like flushing it all out with you and how I perceived all of this. No matter what the situation is, no matter who it is, we cannot allow people to disrespect our icons, our heroes, and individuals who have done great things for us in society. So it is great that Dr. King's daughter spoke out about this, but I am upset that she is the one who had to say something about this and talk about how wrong this was. So I say all that to basically say, anytime somebody disrespects our lineage or people who have done great things among us, we need to check that shit up front, even if it is our own people. That's what it's all about when it comes to accountability and when it comes to delineation and when it comes to just looking at the way that people go about trying to eat off of our name or try to do something in our name, but besmirching us in the process. And it doesn't matter if you're somebody who was ignorant. It doesn't matter if you were somebody who was fully aware of what you were doing. If you were fully aware, then this is certainly a means for you needing to be checked and for other people to see the type of person who you are. If you were someone who's ignorant, well, I guess you learned a lesson today, right? In general, I'm pretty sure that Bernice King is also tired of people just going around and denigrating her father's legacy. And to be quite honest, I'm tired of it as well, too. I think that it's a shame that we are giving so much attention to disrespecting and dishonoring Dr. King and making up weird rumors and saying strange things about him despite all the things that he sacrificed and that he did in order to try to create justice for black people, whether you like the way that he did it or whether you didn't like the way that he did it, because he made a lot of great sacrifices. It wasn't some good trouble shit. It wasn't some stuff where he was trying to, he was somebody who was an op. It's one thing if you were that type of individual or you were somebody who wasn't constructive, but Dr. King was somebody who was very constructive and deserves respect. And also, too, Bernice is probably tired of people using his image as if he's some type of caricature, as if he's like some type of cartoon or fictional character who can be played around with and tossed around, and people can make up these strange theories and rumors about, what he's done and who he is. And again, a lot of these people who are doing this are not of our culture. And a lot of these people who are not of our culture would certainly not apologize for the things that they're doing or saying about Dr. King. Now, one thing that Bernice did say when it came to Sexyredd was that she didn't want people denigrating her. She didn't want people disrespecting her. She doesn't think that she is somebody who is degenerate. She doesn't want people to project their feelings onto her and to say that, she's saying the same thing about Sexyredd that a lot of us typically say about her. My take on that is I think that Bernice King is just somebody who just wanted to call out an injustice. She wanted to right a wrong. She wanted people to basically get off her family. She was tired of people trying to caricaturize her father's legacy and everything that he has done, because he really has been turned into a caricature that people can take and create these strange theories around and disrespect and all this other stuff. And all this stuff has to be called out. And she's probably tired of it. And quite honestly, I'm tired of it as well, too. Now, when it comes to the whole sexyredd thing, she probably didn't want to be affiliated with the bashing and the disrespect of her as a person or her as an artist. And I can understand that. She wanted to basically say that, this is something that I need to basically check you on, but that doesn't mean that I want you to not succeed or to do things that are greater constructive in life. Now, when it comes to my thoughts on sexyredd, so one thing that I've talked about with people quite often, she is the poster child for what the dominant society wants black women to be represented as. She's the classic ratchet black woman, full-blown ratchet. You take a hood rat, you put her on Front Street, and you let her continue to be the same hood rat that she was when she was in the hood. That's essentially what they're trying to create from her image. She's a psyop in a way. She is somebody who's used as a tool for indoctrination to try to change up the image of black women. And a lot of the black women in our culture, the foundational black American women, are very classy, they're very clean, they're very intelligent, they are very educated, and they are very respectable. So a lot of, what sexyredd does not represent, what our women are about, especially in the image of modern black women, because I think that's essentially what they were trying to do there. Now, when it comes to somebody like a sexyredd, let me be clear. I'm not a prude. I'm not somebody who's into respectability politics that heavy. I'm not somebody who says, oh, there's no time for ratchetness. There's no time for twerking. There's no time for any of this other shit. I'm not that type whatsoever. You do what you do. I just think there's a time and place for everything. And I think that her image is being used as a way to try to represent us. And they often have this thing that they like to do in the dominant society where they take a black woman from the hood. So they take this hood rat, they glam them up a bit. And then if they can, rap on the beat a little bit and that type of thing, then they can kind of make them seem like, they're somebody who, should be a big star. I mean, think about it. When it comes to sexyredd, they had her twerking and pregnant at award shows and all this other stuff. That shit is out of pocket. That's the type of stuff I can't get down with. I don't think that that's cool. I don't think it's sensational. I don't think it's funny. I don't think it's anything like that. So that type of stuff I don't condone. And it's crazy to me how they do all this, because they got these chicks looking like Babs. And I remember when Babs used to be a joke, and here we are, and it's a normalized thing in an image of beauty. The dominant society loves to create this, what I would call the lovable hood rat or the glamorized hood rat trope. But I think there's two different sides to it. And they've done that too in the past with other artists as well too. One thing that I've noticed is that they kind of took a slightly different turn with sexyredd than they did with like a Glorilla and a Cardi B. Because again, you have like these chicks who, they kind of looked a little funny looking in the face, and just overall they were just funny looking chicks. Like I said, dolled them up, glammed them up, got their teeth together, got them looking right, got them looking, extra, glammed up and got them looking great, and then they put them in the forefront. And then when it comes to somebody like sexyredd, they didn't do that quite as much with her, because she fits the bill kind of like the other two that I just described. But what they like to do is with her is they made her the total image of a gutter slut. Because if you look at sexyredd, a lot of people feel this way, but she looks like she's a little dirty, or she might be a little bit dirty. A lot of people kind of feel that way when they see her. Now, don't get me wrong, sexyredd has a nice little body on her, but she's kind of funny looking, and and she just looks like somebody who might not be clean. I'm not saying that she isn't clean. I'm just saying that that's the way that her image is presented. All right, y'all, that's all I got for today's topic, and I hope you all enjoyed what I had to say today. If you like this video and you want to hear more, hit the like button, subscribe, share, hit the bell icon so you get notifications for whenever I come out with new content on this channel, and we will go from there. Other than that, I will talk to y'all later. Peace.